Well, shall we start with the roll call, maybe with the people online first?
Sure.
Zoomland.
So Dave, do you want to introduce them on Zoomland or do you want them to introduce themselves?
I'll have them introduce themselves. I'll start with Carissa.
Okay. Carissa Parvin from the Barnes Lake condominiums. I can never say it almost right. Condos.
There you go.
Condos.
Tom
Troy
Sparks
Dixon.
from the Barnes Lake condos. I'm just got the respiratory bug, so I'm avoiding spreading it to you folks.
Thank you.
Troy Patience, Barnes Lake Condos.
And that's it on Zoomland. So I'm Dave Congeezer, Water Resources Specialist, City of Tumwater.
Rusty Weaver, Lake Terrace Drive.
Jody Keys, Daisy Lane. Sherry McCafferty, Daisy Lane.
Kathy Peterson, Lark Street.
Patrick Soderberg, City of Tumwater.
You guys hearing everybody okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. We're good to go.
Okay. At the agenda for tonight. Do we have any additions, subtractions, questions, or concerns?
Not from me.
We could note that we don't expect Scott to be here tonight.
Yes, he's informed us that he was going to try, but based on when he was on the road and how far he has to go, he wouldn't get here probably before 7:30. So I doubt he will show up.
Like a note, 7A.
Yeah, but we did ask questions specifically of him about, you know, when he expects to be able to get out, where we are with the contract, reporting, stuff like that, and we can get to that when we get into the business. So we should be able to answer the questions that you might have for them.
I don't think this was the meeting that we really were requiring or wanting him to show up, correct?
Correct, other than the fact that we did a vote at the last meeting to do the Floridone, so I think we were just gonna inform him, hey, we've done that, but he already knows, so
Yeah.
we've already let him know.
Okay, moving on to the minute. Starting with Jane.
I had comments on those minutes and, Dave, did you ever get those comments?
On the 29th, I don't think I did. On the first one, I did for the February 19th meeting.
Okay.
And I did update the draft minutes with your comments. But the 29th, I didn't receive any.
Okay, I can give it.
Okay.
Linnea didn't spell it. And.
You get used to that when you have a name like Linnea.
Miss Linnea, really?
And then Dana, Rusty, and Lorraine, I assume excused on, since I didn't see their names for January. And then I was wondering if either Troy or Jerome had attended, because the three categories was here, so not excused and not guests. So I was just, it made me wonder.
I can check the video as well.
They were there. It's just a matter of the minutes don't note members excused, non-members.
I think we got that one on the February
Right.
19th meeting minutes.
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
I was gonna
Corrected that.
request that the categories be.
Okay.
Included.
Included, yeah, so members, excused members, and then
The
guests,
public.
the public, yeah. And let's see, I thought that I had. That was a different thing. I don't have any other for January, any other comments. Oh. All across the board, I think that we ought to vote on a single way to spell aquatechnics and always spell it that way.
I don't think we can vote on that. That's their name.
Do we strive to spell things correctly? Yes. Does that come up in spell check? No.
So
I know that I confuse the I and the E.
Yep.
Quite a bit.
Aquatech next.
Right, and
Which
I
is
know I
weird.
I make that
But
mistake
there-
a lot.
Some of them even, and then there's also whether or not the T is capitalized. So it just seems like.
T, what T?
In aquatechnics.
So that was, I saw it three different ways, and so I just thought that as a matter of courtesy, we should. Yes, there, it's right up there.
It should,
Right,
yeah,
it is.
it should be 7A on the agenda. That's how they spell it. Aquatech next.
Oh, okay, so.
Oh, yeah, that's where it was.
But in the meeting. It was even on.
Maybe we just feel that they spell it wrong.
Yeah, you can do that thing where if you do AQ, it automatically goes to. Spelling it correctly, yeah. So those were the comments that I had. For Virginia.
Do we have a motion to approve the minute?
Usually both of these, right? Second,
I second.
Favor?
Aye.
I
Okay, and then the February 19th meeting minutes, that was the exclusively Zoom
Right.
meeting.
I had comments on that one and I gave you.
Yeah.
So you got the one with the yellow.
Yeah, fairly minor, just some formatting and whatnot. I don't know if, did they make it into this? I thought they may have.
I didn't think that's.
No, they did not make it into this. This one.
So, I guess I'll kind of go over let's see. I was, for the minutes on the lake management, I was separating out the, treatment proposal from the IAVMP, so that, that would be at 8B, the integrated aquatic vegetation, excuse me, management plan update. Is projected to cost 25,000. That's just separate from,
15,000.
did I say something, but, okay, whatever you say. And then. I guess that's it. On comments, and then the part about the roll call being separated members, excuse members in public. For the attendance. So that's the extent of my comments.
Anyone else?
Did you understand that one? Because I did not.
Well, basically, the section B here, she pulled out of the conversation we were having in section A. Because it kind of got
Okay.
blended
Yeah,
into
it
that.
had been the end last sentence.
Yeah, and so we basically, what Kathy did was just pull that out and make it its own topic. More or less
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
The amended minute?
The
amended.
amended,
So moved.
all in favor?
I
I did the job.
Yeah, somebody seconded.
Oh, did we second it?
Like Carissa just seconded it.
Yeah.
Okay, all in
Yay, thank
favor?
you.
Good.
Next up is public comment. We have one member of the.
Troy, you got any comments you want to make to the group?
No,
Do you have any comments you want to make to the group?
Not at the moment.
Dave?
I am commentless right now.
Okay, I'm good.
Trying to get back to my attachment here.
You want me to get to your attachment?
Got it here. Okay,
Any member comments?
No.
And so I'll talk on behalf of the treatment. So the last meeting, the committee decided that they want to move forward with the fluoridone treatment this year. Scott is tentatively planning that for the end of May. So early start this year. Did he give an exact date or just roughly the end of May?
No, he hasn't finalized his schedule yet for the season, but he said, by the end of May, with a survey coming a week prior to that. So we're really a couple of weeks out, really. I mean,
So that will be mostly a full lake treatment because it's fluoridone. So it's not going to be a spot treatment. It'll be more of a full lake treatment. So he'll be all over the place. Water level should be up. Dave, I don't want to jump past to the boat launch, but you might as well because it's in the same conversation. Dave's been working with our permitting group in the city to move that permit forward. They asked him for additional information just today, pictures of the site, how much you're going to do, how you're going to bring the rock down, that sort of thing. So we're moving forward with that. We've also talked to Scott about if it isn't done in time, are you okay with us, putting something in as a temporary boat launch to get it in and out? And he's comfortable with us doing that. So we're confident that we can meet that May, get a boat into the water time. So
I mean, is that what we're talking about?
until somebody else wants to use their property,
So it's almost
it
a
would be
temporary
an
fix.
arm wrestle between that person and Dana, so
yeah, we have an agreement with Dana.
3 more years. So basically, we just went into a new agreement with Dana to utilize that property as the boat launch. And it has all agreements for the city to maintain it, take care of her backyard if it needs it, that sort of stuff. So it's all written into the agreement with her. And then what she gets from the city is she gets a waiving of her assessment fee. So that's the 200, and when you look at the budget and there's a line item at the top and it says, I don't know, special or something like that, and it says 246, that's us waiving her fee. So that's the cost to the LMD for the use of that boat launch.
And that's gonna is the boat that he's wanting to put on the lake this time, correct?
He's gonna, when I talked to him today, he's gonna use 2 different boats. He's gonna use one for the survey, which he used last year. It's a smaller skiff type boat with a prop motor, a regular prop motor. It's more set up for his survey that he needs to do. And when he does the chemical treatment application, he will use his airboat that's set up more for doing that. And it's got a larger tank on board that he can use for his herbicides and whatnot. So yeah, he'll have 2 boats. The airboat is a lot wider than the skiff boat. And so that's why the need for the additional rock on the boat launch is needed.
Okay, and it still fits going on Dana's.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. That's why we have to widen the boat ramp because the
Yeah.
trailer wheels are wider, and so it will not fit down the boat ramp
Yeah.
now.
But I mean, getting the boat to the water, shouldn't be a problem. But yeah, getting the boat into the water is where we need the wider boat ramp.
Unless we wanted to go Viking style and start, putting the boat on logs and
We'll just have you guys carry it down from the driveway.
old style.
That's a really good idea. So, Chrissy, you're gonna be our boat launch expert here. Say.
If only.
So we expect. Follow up.
Yeah, I don't know what his bumping window is when he goes back out and has to reapply. If it's 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I don't know what that frequency is, but it'll be at least once and maybe twice.
I see. So that's if it's needed.
It will be needed at some point in time, but it all has to do with depth of your lake is shallower. So it may not need as many bumps as, so I'm more used to management of Lake Lawrence and Long Lake, where they've used Floridone in the past, and they have a lot more wave action. They have a lot more things that stir it up and dilute it out. And so you guys won't have that much. So the strategy will be different. And so I've never asked Scott how many times and what the interval is. But I guarantee you he'll have to go out at least one more time. No, it will be because yeah, it'll be like the whole lake. And so basically what it is you have to have a concentration of this herbicide, so let's say 4 parts per million, and you have to maintain it. And like I said, you'll get mixing, you'll get water moving around, and it will dilute it out a little bit. And so they just have to add a little bit more to make sure that it maintains that 4 parts per million. It's very expensive. Yes. Yeah, and Doug had you between a 3 and a 5 year cycle, and I think you guys went 4 years with while he was here, and he was going to have you propose for the next year, and so we're kind of picking that up. So I think you're on your 5th year, so maybe not as frequent as Doug maybe thought, but within the correct time frame.
No, there's still going to be a Dicot treatment annually, so that will, help essentially do very similar things to what the Floridone is doing. So you'll still have a treatment for, it's the bladderwort that's mainly targeting.
Yeah. Well, and we'll go back for the lilies with the diamond.
Water levels, all right.
Oh, yeah, I actually have a graph today for that. That is, push on that letter B, yep. Dun, 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 dun. So yeah, I was able to actually go out in, I think it was late January, and pull some data. It was interesting to see that the lake level, it dipped lower than it normally does in the summertime. Of course, we all saw that. You can see that it was at 152. And then in January, in years prior, it was a lot higher than it had been. So it was kind of a late rebound to full lake. So we had a fairly mild and uneventful winter.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it wasn't really cold. It wasn't really rainy. It was just kind of steady. So that might have contributed as well.
It seems like the lake is full right now, but that doesn't look reflected on it.
Right. This is
Yeah, no, this is-
January.
Yeah.
So there's 2 months, two and a half months that are still missing here.
So we're up.
So there's probably a little, it looks like it's about ready to level off right here at the 2.5, where it says 2.5 right there. That's actually the rainfall total gauge, but I would assume that would bump back up to the green line.
Yeah.
Is the green?
That's where the leveler is,
Yeah,
right?
that's where the beaver leveler is set at, is one.
So do you understand what you mean when we say the beaver level? So on the south end of the lake, you have an outfall that goes into like a stormwater ditch. And to maintain the water levels so that they don't flood Kathy's backyard out, we've put in a plastic pipe that once the water level gets to a certain height, it will start discharging out of that pipe through that stormwater system. And so that's why it doesn't go appreciabibly above that green line.
It's really fast.
Yeah.
Because so far.
We're living.
Looked at it a few
Yeah.
years ago
By DOT.
by DOT, right?
Yeah.
Time goes by so fast, I can't
Yeah.
even tell you how long ago. But yeah,
There's just a train.
yeah,
That even put junk on it, so the lake would get deeper. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we have 2 years in a row where the lake went that much higher than that.
I'm surprised that the lake is only 5 feet deep at the. Is that like average or,
What?
What?
because it goes from 150 to 155? Am I misreading that?
No,
The range of the water level is usually between 152.5, 153 to 155. So it really only
2.5
fluctuates about
feet.
2.5 feet, but over that, those,
but he's measuring the top of the water column. He's not showing you the bottom of the water column.
Oh, okay,
right,
okay.
yeah,
Now I understand. Okay.
yeah.
So it's not lake depth. It's just where is the top.
Right.
Because when we
Well,
would go out and do the sampling, we would measure,
It's about 10, 12 feet there.
yeah.
Yeah, so do you know what the bottom elevation of the lake is?
Yeah.
Roughly?
well,
Yeah, I don't
So
know.
maybe 145?
So the lake height on the left is feet above sea level, and so I don't know, yeah, it's probably about 140, 145, somewhere in there.
But
Yeah.
level almost looked low today, but I think it's because all of the cattails are just growing really tall, and so the water look a little lower.
And the temperature is what
Your-
we typically
the
see.
water level flipped upside down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just an inverse of the water level. So we'd probably start seeing that, temperature creeping up right about now. That line in that graph is 63 degrees, which we typically see plant emergence start happening.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where that's at. But again, since this was collected in January, we're kind of seeing the bottom end of the temperature scale right there. So, but again, I don't think we got as cold as we have in past years. I
No.
mean, this looks like it's right at about 50 degrees. Past years we were in the 40s.
Yeah,
Was there?
very briefly.
Which
but-
I haven't seen.
Although the lake did freeze this winter.
Yep, yep.
It's okay in the east with.
Oh.
Well, the frogs are starting to sing, so the water's warming up.
Yeah, that's telltale sign right there. Frogs are active and stuff. It's
Yep.
water's warming up.
Mhm.
Temperature, the minimum temperature for Vine, Florida. The risk of the lake not being warm enough by the for the Florida to do its thing.
I've never read anything about that, to be honest with you. I think it has to do more with how actively are the plants growing. So, when you think about terrestrial plants and what causes them to bud and start growing, it's typically a certain number of days above 60 degrees, whether it be like 8 or 10 or whatever. That's usually what triggers plants to go into, they're not flowering, but they're starting to sprout. Right? So it has to do with how many days the soil would be above a certain temperature. I think that because we're in such a temperate environment here, 50 degrees is kind of a common temperature for lakes anyway. I just leaned on this and changed everything. I think it has to do with that. So I don't necessarily think that the day of the application as much as what preceded it and did that initiate plant growth. Because
Well,
when
I
they're,
wondered about the water temperature, since it's measured water temperature.
Yeah.
Should we make sure that it's?
Well, and with the Fluoridone is different too, that because we're going to be bumping it, right? And so we're going to maintain a concentration of Fluoridone in the water column throughout the growing season. So the water temperature is not going to be as critical just because we're going to have the treatment in the water longer. It's, through that temperature differentiation.
and what happens is because it's systemic, it's gonna get absorbed and it's gonna get circulated. So it really has to do with, is the plant actively growing? If the plant's actively growing, it will take it in, it will circulate it, it will kill it. So that's really the most important thing. It's, are the plants actively growing? And so that's the kind of thing that when he goes out and does his survey, those should be the things that they look for. Is the bladderwort right now actively growing? And if so, Because I don't know enough about bladderwort to know, does it senesce over the winter? Does it stay? Does it grow all year round? I mean, I've never looked into bladderwort as a plant individually. But those are the types of things that you'd want to do during the survey. Is it there? Is it actively growing? And if so, you're ready to go. And I inadvertently got us back to the agenda, which may be good.
Yeah.
So we kind of covered the boat launch. Did anybody have any questions about the boat launch? Dana's not here. She'd probably be the most interested, but any boat launch questions? Okay, draft newsletter review.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure.
So,
As a new member. And I don't know how that works.
Yeah, so I guess we were gonna start off with you as since you had to leave early. So Sherry McCafferty is she's applied to be on the steering committee. I'm not sure what that official process looks like. I think there's probably a
Well, hey, if we haven't sent you an application, we'll get you,
No.
you've already filled out the
Yep, you're good
application.
to go there.
Okay, so
Months ago.
Okay, so I think you can't do it in this office. I thought you had to eat a cattail.
Eat some cattails.
Right?
I thought we asked questions.
Yeah.
And then when Sherry leaves, then we vote. That's what I thought the protocol was.
Okay.
I thought they get appointed by the,
Yeah. yeah,
The
we-
mayor.
We.
I don't think there's a,
We
okay.
recommend.
I think that's how it's.
okay. And typically what we do is we want somebody who applies to come and sit through one of the meetings. And that's why we invited you to the meeting so that you can experience what it's like and decide if you still want to do it.
That's what you have to take. Sure.
Did you flick past the agenda?
Yeah, you go to one of the agendas, it'll show.
The meeting date.
Oh, okay.
Where? I'm
Just
not
scroll up.
Is it like Florida?
No, there's maybe like 6 throughout the year, I think.
Bottom right
Oh,
there.
there we go. So right here,
Okay, thank you. That works.
okay,
And then the
Yeah.
walkabout.
yeah, so there's 6. So ultimately, we have one next month. So we have one next month and then not till September, because basically summertime is when all the work gets done. So we kind of prepare for it and vote on what we want to do collectively in the spring. And then in the summer, we just let the contractor do his job and stare at the window and watch what he does and comment on that. And then in September, we do a walk around where we actually can view the lake from all sides.
And we walked on Sherry.
Okay.
is
Yes.
invited.
Yeah.
And then October and November, we're kind of gearing up and planning for the next year. Okay.
How long have you lived on the lake?
Since 98.
Oh,
I mean, no, 88.
yes.
oh.
Since 88.
1988, okay.
1988, yeah.
That's
that's
about
right.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's about 35 years now, I think. Yeah, 36. It's hard to keep track. Long time. Watched all the changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what is it that makes you want to be a part of the management?
Well, I would learn more about what's going on with the lake, what the costs are for the lake, why we do what we do. And also, supporting people that are kind of on my end of the lake that maybe feel like they've been left out. And we maybe need a bit more attention, and also to work with Jody, so. Yes.
We'll do a good month.
Well, there is that. But Sherry is right, because we've talked about that end of the lake, and
Yeah,
Especially when.
Well, and that's a tough end of the lake because we keep having things floating down there. And then the water gets high and they usually stop at my place for a year or two and then they move on down the lake. And so, it's something that we need to think about. How, if there's even any way to manage that, I don't know, but.
So would you solemnly swear to go to the walkabout?
I also, yes, I've actually been on the walkabouts before, so.
And
It's
last,
really amazing.
last year was the first year on the walkabout that we really got a good view of the very north end of the lake. We went down that easement that's off of Lake Terrace.
Uh-huh.
And it kind of took us down to a grassy field that.
And
I
that's
think
the
was-
very, very north end.
Yes, yes, and that was a good perspective because I know we've been in your yard before and along Daisy Lane, but really seeing how much plant
Like
growth
that,
and,
yeah.
yeah.
And a lot of times the people there on the very far north end, and I'm not even sure who actually represents them. But
I know they
it's so
come
low
out
that
from
they can't.
No, yeah.
We've been trying to recruit some of those
Yeah.
people to get involved.
Shows interest.
Well, I have an interest in it. I have an interest in the lake as a whole.
Yeah, yeah, well, that's a good perspective, yes.
For us all along it, we kind of feel like we're not. Yeah.
Hey, there is one edit suggestion I'm seeing now on the February 19th minutes, just if I can have my first name spelling corrected.
I wondered about that.
Geez, I'm bad at spelling that day, I guess. Huh?
It's just one R and another S.
Did I put two R's and one S?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Which reminds me, I see your name spelled differently.
Did you copy me?
So is it SHA?
RIE. A
Oh,
lot of
one
times
R.
they-
Okay.
Yeah, just one R and an IE, and a lot of times the E is left off.
What's your last name?
McCafferty. Yeah. You want the CAFFERTY. It can't be much longer.
Yeah. We like people who have. Challenging, yes. Jody would.
Don't worry, I've had someone at work, even though my email has my, first and last name spelled, they delivered it to me in an envelope and it had an E at the end of my last name. So it was like, Parvine again.
Anyone else have questions for Sherry? Or does Sherry have any questions for us?
Looking forward for you to join, Mary.
Jody gave you the scoop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
We're only as formal as.
So you can tell when Jerome's not here.
Yeah. Good tag. Always.
Actually put that on the heading where he's not.
Yeah.
Bill Baxter is
Formal.
still-
You have way too much time, Rusty.
Yeah, I'm just. There's gonna be a time somewhere.
Right here.
I'll go on my computer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, and it's on my computer right here too, yeah, and we agree.
Well, Sherry's excused, or you're welcome to stay as well.
Okay, but I do have to run to another meeting that just yesterday I found out that it was something I absolutely need to go to. So anyway, I'll see you maybe at the next meeting or something.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's nice to meet everyone. Yes. See you on the street.
In the hood.
Yes.
Bye, Sherry.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Sherry.
Newsletter's beautiful.
Thank you. It's still in draft form. I haven't submitted this to our communications person yet, so it may.
Do you want to share your screen or?
Yeah. Sorry. Let me get to that. Sorry, Zoom land.
I'm just gonna.
Do that.
So this is his survey boat.
Okay.
Oh,
that's the
yeah.
little one.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. So yeah, the newsletter.
Did you catch the double aquatechnics, two different ways in the first
I
paragraph?
did not.
What?
See.
Aqua Technics,
Oh,
that's right. Aqua, oh, yeah, it did capitalize that T. Huh.
I think they do.
oh, I see.
I'm not sure.
We'll look into it
Yeah,
and make it right.
Well, it does when they give it.
So, so yeah, we didn't really, we can, this is still in draft form, so if anybody has any input, great. We can make this more exciting or
He's not here. You wouldn't want to see that.
other stuff like that, but
So we'll be 291.
so
So
yeah,
David,
so
is there a cutoff time for proposed edits, then, like a week or two?
It just depends when you want your newsletter out.
Okay, when do we want it out?
these are supposed to be going out with the assessment, so if you have edits, get them to me as quick as you can. I think we've got, Rusty gave me some content for
The neighborhood perspective.
the neighborhood perspective type
Okay.
thing, so I think we're good there. But yeah, if you have any edits or suggestions like that.
I see if we can get it out before our next meeting in May.
You should say, insert Rusty's words here.
Yeah, yes, it's
And I have photos of how the lake can look.
Well,
Wait.
Lonnie sent me like 27 photos.
Oh, good. Okay.
And 0 poems.
Okay.
And 0 what?
Poems. Remember, she said she was going to write a poem.
Probably like it's all in the picture.
She sent me 1,000 words instead, exactly 27,000 words.
If Tom, would it be easier if you have edits or comments or something like that, if I gave you a Word document to work with?
That'd be fine.
That
Okay.
way you can just do track changes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would help me out.
Yeah, what I was thinking was in the part about living with beavers, it just doesn't offer what potential damage the beavers might do to people's yards in terms of gnawing on their deciduous trees. And it doesn't mention that, using the wire mesh around the
They
trunk
keep
can
them-
help prevent beaver damage, that kind of
Okay.
stuff.
Okay,
That's really.
yeah, I'll send you a Word doc if you have some language you want to add. That'd be great.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay. Tom and Kathy.
So what do you think is by Monday?
If you can get them by Monday, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, Monday would be better than Tuesday.
And is the flexible level? It's the beaver to Steve.
It actually is trademarked. So
Is it?
yeah, it's the term beaver deceiver is a trademarked thing. So
And it doesn't look like that.
this is a flexible leveler that's in the picture. There is beaver deceiver is just a great term though. I mean, it just flows right off the tongue. I've caught myself using the term beaver mitigation device. Kind of all encompassing, but that's kind of a mouthful. Because there are other,
It's really a water leveler.
yeah.
Is what it is. Mitigating the what the device does is keep the water level.
Now, in that picture, I mean, that the beavers, that's where they've got fooled by the.
Yeah, they
They think it's, they think they're blocking.
yeah, that's
Well, because here's a beaver deceiver is actually a noisemaker. If you go and you put the sound of flowing water someplace, a beaver will start damming it up, even if there's no flowing water there. And so a beaver deceiver is to send them that way when you don't want them to go that way. And so a water leveler doesn't deceive them. It just, what it does is you can't hear the water flow. And so it allows the water to pass without them making improvements to their dam.
they can hear it a little bit in the pipe, and you can see where the beaver built the dam on this one. That's right where you, there's a
It's
little,
right where you hear the
little trickle you can hear through there. But that's, yeah, but that's not where the water's coming and going. So, yeah. Yeah.
Were
So-
we gonna have a meeting? Or, the, people? Or did we talk?
Isn't this a meeting with the LMU?
Like an annual meeting?
Yeah.
Oh. That was, it took me a bit to, yeah, but I know, I think, I'm not sure what the group decided on that.
We kind of made the executive decision.
I thought we did, well, maybe next
And
year
the-
we could.
Yeah. And it's fine, I just felt like we put a lot of time and energy, in
Mhm.
the past, we've put a lot of time and energy into it, and just preaching to our choir. And I thought the decision was that the walkabout would kind of serve that purpose.
And that's what I would suggest would be to maybe we do a bigger advertising for the walkabout and try to engage more people and because then everyone's there to be able to ask questions and you can look at it and you can point to it and you can get, especially when Scott's there, to be able to have those conversations with the professional at the same time. To me, I think that is super valuable. And they don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah,
I mean, we could
mention
literally,
that in this.
People- See, that just seems more.
Yeah, but so then we could, include that in this. And this, newsletter,
Oh,
that we're gonna do a walkabout and.
That's a.
Cause people, they come one time and they're just like, okay, now I get it.
Yeah.
Just like us in the beginning, when we started meeting at different people's houses, oh my gosh, it was like. You have completely different problems than I do.
Yeah, so we could have just a little line.
And that we meet at the condos. and- Yeah, well, they could do that, oh, well, yes, we've done that too.
In my.
so, okay, go ahead,
in
Rusty.
my thing that- about Inviting.
Okay,
I just didn't.
okay,
Oh, good.
yeah,
Okay, and what we can do is put our contact numbers again,
Mm,
where if you want to reach out to us to find, our meeting spot on the day, stuff like that, we can make ourselves available.
We've done it for a certain way, but if you're a new person, you'd have no idea.
Sure.
Well, you see us
You're
walking
meeting
in the
where
road.
at the old tennis court at the.
The condo tennis courts.
And then another comment that I had about that was in the newsletter, I think, well. I don't think that I understand the 8 categories and who is in which category, and I think. People are gonna maybe start asking us why they're in one category and not another
Oh, you mean the
category.
geographical?
The property assessment type.
how much you have to. pay.
in the budget.
So like the condominium with a view only, I was just like, who is that? Who are those 5 people? Who is the undeveloped residential with view only?
Well, if
And there's one.
undeveloped. where's it?
Any
It's
property,
residential land.
there's,
that has a
okay,
view.
well, there's properties, that the church owns, that's undeveloped,
Ah, got it.
okay,
So the church should only be paying $54?
For that part.
well, I'm just trying to think of what properties are
Mhm.
undeveloped around your lake, I mean,
Well, we pay the church, so that's why I'm interested, and I was trying to figure out which one the church was. And I think up until now, the church has been in the $120 one, which is, I know is old school, so I can't remember what that.
We would have
translates.
to, we would have to go back
What
to
would
some
be
of
the
the,
second one.
undeveloped residential with frontage.
Cause that's
No, 'cause, yeah, 'cause-
Frontage, they're on the-
Yeah, yeah,
Anyway.
so that one was 120 probably over the 5-year assessment or 5% assessments have gotten to 145. So I agree, that's the undeveloped residential with frontage is probably what the church pays for.
so who is this one person undeveloped residential with you?
We'd have to go back
I'd
to
have to look
the
at a map.
But I
Yeah.
think we should-
the original documentation of how the LMD was set
because
up.
I think- Then,
Well, there's nobody living there.
That would be like the properties on the away from the lakeside on Lake Park Drive.
undeveloped.
There, there's like across from Cherry
Oh.
Lions.
Okay,
Where
so
they can
that's, so
see the lake.
that,
But those were not, were
They
only
weren't there.
developed in the last 8 years.
I
I
don't,
just,
I think we need, I think we only need to know if somebody complains. I think we should know before they complain.
Are you asking us to truth test whether or not there's actually
No.
these number of properties?
Well,
What,
no,
I
no.
mean, what is the
It-
ask,
Well, this
It goes
says there's
to the-
only one.
right?
it goes back
Which-
to whoever
where is it?
bills, they know.
Oh,
you
do they have addresses? Yes.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Kathy, I think that. Isn't that the one that you books down? Those people bought that lot that's on this lake. They don't have lake frontage, they only have view.
What there's a rest.
I don't think so, but I,
There was a lot there.
to answer the question, yes, it's whoever sends out the bills.
Like
But what are you asking? Do you want us to send you a list of the spreadsheet of people we bill?
I think as the rates go up, people are going to be wondering why they're in one category and not another, and
Are they, okay, so what I'm trying to figure out is, do you think people don't understand which category they are?
Possible.
I think they understand which category they are because of the bill that they get, but they don't understand how it fits into this graph of why they're in that category.
I would assume that's.
That was voted on at the very beginning by,
Me.
Yeah.
yeah. So,
In the bill. For an amount that corresponds to one of those categories. So if somebody calls and says.
I don't think that this is me.
that This is. then-
I just wonder since there's the one that's only one, I just wonder, oh, which one?
Well, I
where
mean,
is it?
I started by wondering about the church and which one it goes into.
But when you get the bill,
when you get the bill, it'll say,
you'll see.
Well, it's 120, so it's,
well, there is no
The
one
second
twenty.
one.
well, that's
Well,
turned into
it was
145. It was.
Right.
120. When we were 240, they were 120. So the church then is in the category of the three undeveloped residential with frontage. So I assume that guy that's your your in between neighbor is that.
He's one of those.
Oh.
Correct, yeah.
That is our. He is the-
Frontage with no residence,
Yeah,
because it's gonna be, the house is gonna be on one or the other, not both.
well, he has two.
Correct, but he has one house. So he would have one where it's residential with frontage and he would have one with frontage with no residential.
Technically. But
So the theory.
It just
is-
depends whether or not the parcel, if that garage was associated with that parcel or the one with the house. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Change.
Well, the people who should complain would be the commercial businesses that get hit up for 583 and don't use it at all. But we're not arguing on their behalf.
Yeah, one of the people came from the DOT and they said that they have a good neighbor policy, and if there's a thing like this,
They pay it.
they pay it,
Yeah, no, and that's the way most
that they don't.
businesses and government
Yeah.
agencies
Yeah.
are, but no doubt hitting those three properties way harder than anybody else. And none of those commercial businesses utilize that property. I mean, the school is paying 580.
They used to use the school.
No, they have,
They
they have a great.
Yeah, then they used to really use that a lot. So is the bottom one? Yeah,
Right.
they used to. So is the condominium, the bottom five, is that Barnes, Lark Street?
Condominiums with view only?
Uh-huh.
So they have only.
Well, I mean, they have access, so I'm not sure
I don't think they have a,
they do.
the Water Street.
Yeah, they do.
Maybe no.
Yeah, they do. They
Might.
do.
Well, they might be this group right here, condominium with frontage and view. And then
Well,
you,
that's easy.
and then that would be rolled into part of the ones where Tom and Carissa are, and then part of the ones that are near you.
So I bet now that I think about it, the condominium with view only is across from Terry Lyons. I just think that we should be informed. I hate it when people ask me a question and it goes around like
Well,
this
it's
when I'm
more-
representing them on the committee.
It's
Okay.
one of two scenarios, either they lived there when this all went in place and people had the opportunity to comment and have an issue with it. Or they purchased property since then, and if that's the case, then as you're going through title and you're buying your house. They would say, hey, by the way, there's a lake management district, you owe this amount of money, go talk to the city if you've got questions. Nobody's been blindsided by these fees. So either they weren't, if they think they were, they weren't paying attention. So unless we have somebody really complaining about it. I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm trying to get to is like, what do you want me to provide you?
Yeah.
If you have a specific parcel or address, I can look it up.
Okay.
So if somebody did ask you about it, you could say, let me check.
Yeah, I guess there's a person like me that it's just interesting to me to know what's the one that's undeveloped residential with view. That's interesting, but it's not functional. So it's a good point.
Yeah, but I mean, there's other people.
I mean, I know which one I am. That's the.
Who
Well-
would want to be in a different.
Patrick, to take it off of your to-do list might be easiest just to give the list to Linnea and she can distribute it within the committee as people are interested. So get the full
Well, it's
list.
gonna
of-
be, it's gonna be sent out in the newsletter. Every single person is gonna get it.
Is
And
that by,
it gets sent, it also gets sent with your bill.
is that list the addresses and which rates they pay?
No, you're not gonna get somebody else's bill. You'll only get your own bill.
Well, that's
But-
what I'm saying is the committee sounds like they're interested in having the list. So that the committee members can review the list and answer questions about specific properties. So if we could get one copy of the list, then we can distribute it within the committee. And take this issue off of your list.
Right.
Well, you just put it on my list.
Thank you.
It wasn't on my list until you just said that.
Well, delegate it to the accountants that do the billing and say, hey, by the way, when you're sending this out, send the list to Linnea.
Yeah, we'll get the spreadsheet or whatever that they use to do
Yeah.
the billing and
Yeah.
we can make it available.
Kathy, does that answer the mail?
I mean, why would we want to be posting everybody's bills in a public
Yeah,
format?
I would,
I don't understand this.
But I want to be able to act like I know my little corner, which category people are in. And I think I do. But
Well, you raised a good point. Is there any question about privacy data by linking addresses with a particular rate? I mean, isn't that public information anyway?
That's.
It's public information that we don't advertise and we put it out upon request, and then it's up to our lawyers to evaluate whether or not anything needs to be redacted or anything like that. But typically people don't shop around for other people's bills. But I mean, I understand the goal of what you guys are trying to do. You want to make sure you understand who's being assessed what fee so you can help them out. Or you could just say, here's Dave and Patrick's phone number, contact them and we'll help you with your billing. But we can do it either way. I mean, we don't think that it's your job to do that. Well, I'll do it.
okay, so it's a case by case if somebody has a specific question.
So
then-
have an outline map that does then mark and show, okay, these are the residents with frontage. These are the, you know, the public and, you know, et cetera, and so on. So that way it clears up anything else. Someone might be like, well, if I'm a condo and I have the view, am I able to actually access the lake, or what is part of accessing, you know, for other people as well? Is that
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't
That
know.
has to do with personal property. That has nothing to do with lake management. I mean, so what our role is in the city is the only reason you guys are involved with the city is so that you can apply herbicides to your lake. You
Right.
cannot apply herbicides to lake without a government body. So the only reason that you guys are in association for a lake management district with the city of Tumwater is so that you can apply herbicides to your lake. We realize that the assessment fees and all of that sort of thing are part of applying herbicides to your lake, but access to the water, things like that have nothing to do with the city. That has to do with private properties and access and whatever agreements, especially when you start talking about the condos where you have shared things and personally owned things. I am not an expert at those sort of things. I don't know what agreements people have for their properties. So personally, I don't want to try to take the assessments and figure out, are they correct? What I'd rather do is if somebody thinks that they're being inaccurately assessed, once they see what category they're on, we will definitely work with them individually to make sure that it's correct.
Sure. I just didn't know if that was like part of what the conversation was, of having some layout to people in the newsletter who are getting this or something, or in the invoices they have, so they understand why they were getting the price. Is that what, I mean, I'm just trying to absorb from other people wanting to.
It sounds to me like Kathy just wants to be able to accurately answer someone's question if they say, why am I charged $145 for my
Some kind
assessment?
of a means to get an answer to it.
I'm not sure if we have an actual map that shows that though. I don't
Right
know.
here, this is it. Right there. That is an undeveloped parcel right there that has no house on it. This right here is an undeveloped parcel that has no house on it.
I would show you guys, but
It's okay.
Yes, they are. This is owned by
the church.
the Methodist Church. This is owned by Chuck Denny. So his house is on this parcel. This property is undeveloped. This is the one in between Chuck and Linnea.
The lines are a little bit off.
I know.
Adding
Okay, so this is how you do it. You got to go parcel by parcel and figure out which ones have a house, which ones don't. You know, you have this parcel right there, which is owned by the condos, but has no structure on it.
Yeah, I remember that.
I gotta see that map. Is that Barnes Lake condos own some land we don't know about?
No, I'm sorry, you guys can't see what I'm putting up on the screen right now. Here, Dave.
Yeah, he's gonna.
Or is that the other condos on the other side of the lake by Kathy?
The condos.
Okay, I thought we were gonna have a way to fund our plumbing problems.
That'd be awesome.
This one we're not assessing a fee for. It's been owned for a while.
Okay, so
Wait till global warming comes and they put a mansion in the middle of your lake.
Oh gosh, no.
so I don't know where we ended up with this.
This was to answer your questions.
Yes. So I guess what I'm hearing is that as questions come up, we will answer questions as they come. On a case by case, we will help people.
Welcome.
Eliminate that parcel being out the lake.
You don't understand the city.
That is.
We don't make parcels go away. There's no such thing.
Because like the people. They sold it with 4 acres.
We did it.
And like, well,
We did it.
apparently they
We
own
did it.
or something. And that's how they sold it, as a 4-acre parcel.
Yeah.
It's not 4 acres, it's like a yard.
Was that Bill Baxter?
Well, well, no, the house right next to Bill Baxter. Well, no, the new one that just got, no, not the new guy. Yeah, anyway, it just seems like that's not really valid.
Well, the lake could
I concur.
dry up or disappear.
Yeah, but we,
Drain
even
out,
if it
so
drains
that's
out, our parcel doesn't go way out there.
It does, if it does on the map.
But I was told that that isn't correct, that they just drew it that way, but that those lines are illegitimate, they're not real.
Could I see?
I think
They're-
and guarantee you they are legal. And of them.
But we can't just go out in the lake and decide to do whatever because.
You have a lot of, you can't do anything, but that is correct.
You in particular.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a good amount myself. I was gonna put out, mine or is to blow up any boats that tried to go by property, but they told me I can't do it.
The newsletter,
So,
anyone who has any
you know-
changes will submit them by Monday
Monday.
to Patrick.
I will get
Dave.
I'll get a Word
Okay.
document out to the group. So you guys can make track changes. I'll incorporate them.
Questions?
Another question, if technically that's part of my property, if a goose is on my property, can I eliminate said goose?
That is a fish and wildlife question, not a city of homeowner question.
Yeah.
I wouldn't suggest it.
I almost got it by its neck, it let me get so close,
They are-
I just about grabbed the neck and just gonna wring it around like this.
Might have been, well.
I don't know, man. Oh, sorry,
They can make a mess.
huge mess. Okay,
Okay,
I'm done.
budget.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we didn't gray out the available budget part like we did the last meeting, and so don't look at that available budget part because that is not,
Accurate.
it's just confusing.
Yeah, I think we know.
Nonsense.
time.
It's Tumwater math right there. That's what that is.
So basically, the budget has not changed at all since the last time we've met. We haven't done the assessments yet this year, so we don't have new incoming money. We're just sitting on the money that's been there, and you have enough to do this year's treatment and should have enough for the iVamp as well.
I think the only expense we had was for the permitting for the boat ramp, which was that $1,080.
Which I think we can cover, because I think the leftover money was a couple thousand.
Ample.
Yeah.
And also, I have a request that when the budget is put together, if it could have a date, that would be helpful, because I got lost. I had, all of a sudden, I found 3 budgets with no dates and they were, but it's just
That's a good idea.
housekeeping.
Well, we have a running budget. So just delete anything that isn't the new one.
Well, yeah, but I didn't know which one.
Where are you getting the budgets from?
My dining room table. Any more questions?
I'm just trying to understand where you're getting the information.
Well, I was looking at 3 months, January,
I-
February, and this, and
I
I
can re-
couldn't-
We request a budget snapshot for the agenda, so we can request that they do, when they do the budget snapshot, they include a date.
And does the boat launch, we have the cost for the permit, but do we have the cost for the actual work?
That should be in. Last time we had Doug take care of it, so it was included in his,
Professional. service.
yes, professional services. I don't know that we have a line item for it.
I assume we're paying for it though. Okay.
It's a good question. Are we dumping the rock? I think we're gonna have Scott coordinate it.
That would be nice, just so that it's. done too.
That's why we had Doug do it last time too. So that was kind of the plan, but yeah, I'm not sure if it's got a line item in his budget or not. I have seen it as a line item for Doug's work, but I don't know if Aquatechnics included that or not.
So that's-
So we'll put that as a note. We'll check in on that and we'll get back to you in the next meeting for sure.
Do we have an expectation?
Less than 5 requested in the permit is less than 5 yards, so not much.
Shouldn't break the bank.
No.
We kind of skipped the work plan, didn't we?
But what about the first thing? About the annual work plan to the city council?
We have not done that yet. We've been talking about that. The city council agendas have been pretty full. And so, that's something that Patrick and I have been trying to squeeze in there somewhere for them to give them an update on where we're at. Shouldn't affect our, our plans or operating procedures or anything like that.
It seems like we want to prioritize it just because we're spending so much money. Just to make sure they don't have any issues with it.
Well, wasn't that one of the things that Bonnie and Dan were looking into as far as the $39,000 part?
Yes, they wanted to do it all at once.
Yeah.
So the contract amendment for Aquatechnics to include the Floridone would affect the operating budget and work plan. So we wanted to do all that at once for presenting it to council. So there's
So it's in progress.
it's in progress.
Thank you.
It's in progress. Yes.
Because right now Dan can only sign for things and approve them if they're under $50,000. They're going to amend that so that he can do it as a director for up to $100,000. So he's trying to see, will that process go through quicker so then he can get rid of that procedure? Because then he can approve it. So and then he went on vacation for 3 weeks. So he's out until May. And so, nothing can happen while he's gone. So we're trying to, we just talked to Bonnie today about what the plan was. And so that he's hoping that by the time he's back, they will have made that change and then he can sign everything and not have to go through city council for approval of everything. So it's kind of like one track or the other one's going to have to happen. And so whichever one happens quickest, that's the one we're going to proceed with. So we'll try to get it on the early May agenda. And then if they change the rules before that, then we don't have to go in front of them.
Yes, it's in.
Oh, we're not. No, it's just paperwork at that point. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I also have, did you have any?
Well, I was just moving on to the LD newsletter. Do we have a date that we're expected, that we are planning to mail that out on with the?
Well, if we get all of the comments and articles and everything in on Monday and make the changes, then we should be able to get it to our communications people the same week. And then they can go out with the assessments. That's the goal. That's why we want to expedite.
Yeah.
By the end of it.
That's the target, to
Okay.
have assessments out. We don't like to get into May when it comes to that stuff, but I think we did it last year in May and it was really late. So,
I had a
yeah.
question about March and April, the third one, it says submit a revised roll of rates and charges to the finance department. I thought when we did our fancy chart thing, we stopped doing this.
Well,
That it happened automatically.
yes, we,
5%.
yes, and that piece at the very end says as necessary. So if we were to say request, like a hovercraft to do our treatment and we needed to increase our price by, or our budget by, $500,000, then we'd have to go back and do a rules and rates and charges. But since,
So if we were gonna do it, that's what.
yeah, so we don't need to do that. That's coming up quick, huh? That's next month. So yeah, would be a call for volunteers. For sampling.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tim Tane.
As long as I,
Timlin's on the lake?
No, he's actually not even part of the LMD.
Oh, I know who Tim is.
I think I'm good.
Chris, did you have something to say?
oh, I was gonna say, as long as I don't have my hand surgery in May, I will totally get out there in the lake to help take samples.
Okay, it's unfortunately it's kind of during business hours. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, because on
Okay.
Wednesday to Friday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I telework here, so I could
Sweet.
those days.
Okay. Well, there's one volunteer.
So is that something you'd be,
Yeah, we have to launch out of Dana's.
I can volunteer in May.
Okay.
the water sampling?
We have some new equipment, so I'm gonna have to get trained up on that before we go out. The new YSI. I haven't used it yet.
Picnic?
Take Nick. Yep. Okay.
Oh. The boat. Food for sharing, yeah.
Did we clarify how many people we need on this term? Establish the objective.
Yeah,
Well, that's,
that was,
Kathy, you went over that before.
yeah.
It was like two
In each area,
people for each area.
but no, but.
3 in the condo.
3 in the condos.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're missing one to replace Judah. And then
Right.
replace Gary,
Mhm.
so those were the two. So who represents Linwood?
I thought Linwood and Daisy were sort of together.
Mm-hmm.
It says that on a,
Yeah, there's a table, but I don't have it. Do we have the table
Hey, Rick.
here?
They're gonna have to dig for it.
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Put it together, because when you get to those houses at the end of Daisy, in the house at the end of the street, they're not on the lake. And then the next house over, Marty, she's not on the lake.
Is O'Hara, is he, he's on,
You'd have to-
Yeah,
that's not-
they're on
because
the
I
lake.
think he has a whole long strip.
General WR
Yeah.
might get you
Roger.
there,
Roger.
go through the wormhole.
So, Jody, you're considered northeast.
Jeez, I don't know.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, so if not, if we can get him to be able to replace Judy.
Yeah.
And it's, cause he's not on the lake either, but it's okay to not be on the lake?
He has a little pie corner.
Well, technically, I did that to launch my kayak, but the boundary doesn't actually, it's considered Lakeview property.
Oh, he's like you.
That's why I couldn't be on it before when I lived at that house, cause it said I have Lakeview, not Lake property.
Well, if you're in the LMD though.
But she was just saying that Linwood so-and-so doesn't have lake property, so they aren't considered.
Oh, no, I was just saying that they weren't on the lake. I didn't.
Oh, but they could still be on the committee.
Right.
Oh,
Anyone
okay.
who's in the lake management district.
Oh,
Could be on-
anybody
oh,
you don't have to believe.
Oh,
Yeah, anyone who pays.
So whoever told Melanie
Yeah, that's not true.
that was.
Oh, from the, oh.
from
But
that. But even the properties on Daisy and stuff, even though they're not on the lake, they're in the lake management, so they could be on the,
Committee.
okay.
Oh, and the condos are on shore. The ones like, they have 3 openings.
So do we have a motion to recommend Sherry to the city council for membership? Second. All in favor?
I,
Anyone opposed? Okay. So maybe we can add, because that does need to go in front of the, well,
We will have to bring her into a city council meeting for appointment, yes.
She'll have to be.
Yes. You don't have to go for your reappointment, but you have to go for your appointment.
We didn't.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I got a pencil. That was before pens had been invented.
This is the first year that they switched to pens.
Oh, so I got the pen.
What?
So I guess on future agendas, it's,
Yeah.
that's what we do.
Listen, did you have to go through that?
Yes, she did. I was there with her.
You did, okay.
Moral
I didn't.
support.
Yeah, right. I appreciate it, Patrick.
That's right. You were the first person to get a pen, right? Not a pencil.
Right.
So in terms of future
City
agenda
council's afraid
items,
to
it
get it.
looks like that's the only thing that's not standard. That's the last thing is
I
the,
think we're done.
no,
What?
it's the future agenda items.
Oh.
That's the last thing. What, why are we here?
I'm with you, Rusty. Are we all, anyone have anything else important?
So by then, everything else is.
we have it, but it doesn't fall in.
It's unimportant. Okay, so we're adjourned.
Early.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes.
You guys.
Troy and Tom.
Extension time.
Have a good evening.
Will we have like a training or something of lined out for volunteers, how to take samples?
Oh, yeah, it's, I mean,
Or is it
yes,
good?
we can do
Okay.
that.
Just wanna make
It's probably just gonna be like 10 minutes before we go out on the boat, because it's really
Oh.
easy.
it super easy then.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You get people.
So I will coordinate with you and Tom
Okay.
about the first sampling date and
Cool.
whatnot. So stay tuned. I'll be in touch with you both.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay,
All right.
Right.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks.
Good luck with your concrete fighting. Did you?